Hello and welcome to Football League World TV. We've got a fan debate this afternoon, and it's Tom Oxland from the Blues Focus podcast, massive Blue Nose and podcast on Blues Focus. Today we're going to be discussing the top 5 best Birmingham City strikers of all time. Tom, I'd imagine this was very, very tough to put together, but you have got a 5 and we're going to go through that next. Blues fans, if you are watching, please send in your opinions on Tom's selections. We'd love to hear. What are your best Birmingham City strikers? Please do put them in the comments. We really do want to hear from you. But Tom, how are we this afternoon?
Not too bad, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well. Right, let's get straight into it with your number 5 on the list.
This was extremely tough, by the way. I'm just going to throw this out there. I spent at least an hour and a half on this list. So I'll just quickly give you a breakdown of how I've made this 5. And it's literally based on ability, just general goal tally, and also important goals. And also sort of the league they were scored in as well. So there was a lot taken into account. I'm going to start off with quite a recent striker in position number 5, and that's Che Adams. Where he scored 34 league goals for us in the Championship, and he scored a very important goal for us. I think it was in 2017 away at Bristol on the last day to keep us up under Harry Redknapp. So there was a lot to go off there, but that one season under Gary Monk, he had this amazing partnership with Djukovic, where he got 23 goals and 10 assists, something crazy. And he was just fantastic. That was definitely his best season. And although he's had a slow start at Southampton, he seems to have really picked up some form now, and obviously scored the other day as well. But ability-wise as well, you just felt like every single game he had a goal in him. They're probably the strongest and fastest striker I've seen at Blues in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, Che Adams has always struck me as quite a good all-round striker. He's got a lot of pace to his game. Like you say, he's very strong, very mobile in advanced areas as well. I mean, what kind of elements of his game made you feel like he was deserving of a place in your top 5?
Well, not only is he, a good goal scorer, you've seen that when you put him next to a fairly good striker, if he's in a good partnership, he can just be this. He's got assist to his game, and his passing is fantastic. He's able to spot a player without having to look. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if later on in his career he did drop back into a midfield role when that pace slowly falls away. But no, he's obviously got that pace and strength and that goal scorer's instinct. But like you say, he is quite all-rounded. He has got a good passing game, but he's got a good football brain as well in general, and also quite a nice lad off the pitch. So it's always good to have that on the side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Birmingham fans, if you are watching, do you agree with Tom's selection of Che Adams amongst the top 5 best Birmingham strikers of all time? Right, let's go to number 4 next. Who is your 4th selection, Tom?
See, this one's an interesting one. Some might say it controversial, but then some would instantly just be like, oh, yeah, he's got to be just for ability alone. In number 4, it is Christophe Dugarry. Ability-wise, probably the best player to play or even touch St Andrew's turf in a blue shirt. He was fantastic. Joined on loan Steve Bruce's side in 2003. And if we hadn't signed him, we'd have probably got relegated that season. Although he only scored 6 goals in total for Blues, it wasn't just goals he had to his game. He really did lead from the front. I mean, we're talking about a player who's obviously won the World Cup with France. He played for Milan, Barcelona, Marseille. The quality was always there. And he really did keep us up that season. And if you go back and sort of look back then, it was sort of like, how has that signing happened in that sense? So, no, he's just in there off ability alone and pretty much single-handedly keeping us up in the Premier League that season. Obviously, he did go on to sign for us permanently, but it didn't really work out after that, unfortunately. But in his brief spell at Blues, if you ask any Blues fan who is the best player you've seen in a Blues shirt, ability-wise, they would all say Dugarry every time.
It's like you say, I mean, he only scored 6 goals, but it was ability in other areas, I suppose, that really caught the eye. His ability on the ball and ability to link up with kind of the other teammates within the team. Is that kind of what makes him part of this selection? The fact that, you know, it wasn't just his goals that he offered; he was more to the team.
100%. His skill on the ball was just unmatched. He could pick a pass out of nothing. You know, if you got a free kick, you wanted Dougarry on it. He's just a spectacular player. It was a shame that he wasn't able to sort of maintain that form. He sort of faded out with injuries in the end, and then his career wasn't really much longer after that. But just that one half a season, he just sparkled in that Blues team. And it's mad how you can put a player in the top 5 strikers of Blues all time, and he only scores 6 goals. But it's literally, you look at best 11s anywhere of Blues players ever, Dougary's always in there. He was just that good. But like you say, it's not just goals to his game. He just had everything.
Absolutely. Certainly a player that many Blues fans look back on very fondly, it's fair to say. Right, let's get your third pick next. Who is your third selection here, Tom?
A bit of a cult hero at Blues. Every Blues fan will love him, and that's Nikola Zigic. May not be the most technically gifted footballer, but was actually surprisingly good on the ball, despite being like 6'7", 6'8". But no, this one is definitely more on the important goal side. Although he has actually scored 32 league goals for Birmingham City in his time with us. A lot of those in the Championship, some of those in the Premier League. When we signed him, he was our record signing at the time for £6 million. So there was always going to be some level of pedigree. And he'd played for good clubs before that, like Valencia and so on. But yeah, you obviously associate with him headers and his height and how unbeatable he was and how strong he was in the air. And 3 key moments, I'd say, probably 4 actually, to be honest. You've got the goal he scored against Villa in the last 5 minutes in the Carling Cup quarter-final. He scored in the Carling Cup final, the first goal of the game against Arsenal. And he also got a goal and an assist against Bolton the season we stayed up on goal difference in 2014. So, you know, in recent years, he's always been at the heart of everything important. So, no, he was a fantastic player at Blues. Quite a comedy character as well, always able to have a good laugh, and he'll always be one of the most loved Blues players you'll find, just because he is one of those perfect definitions of a cult hero. But he could pass the ball as well. He did have other areas to his game, surprisingly.
There we go. Nikola Zigic, the third best Birmingham City striker of all time, as per Tom. Please do let us know in the comments your thoughts on Tom's selection so far. Right, we're getting to the business end now of this top 5 list. Let's go for the second pick now. Right, Tom, who is the second best Birmingham City striker of all time, in your opinion?
The next player is Mikael Forsell. I believe he's from Finland. He was fantastic for Blues, scored 30 league goals, 29 of those in the Premier League, and he is our all-time Premier League leading goal scorer. So I feel like to be able to maintain that at such a high level in the game, he'll always be highly revered at Blues, and everyone loves him. He's still very much in contact with the club these days, you know, on social media and stuff. It's wonderful to see, you know, he's out regularly in his Birmingham City hat and whatnot. But yeah, no, a real good all-round footballer. His technical ability was astonishing, especially in his first spell at Blues. He did score some important goals. He scored at Villa Park. And again, another one of those players that if we didn't sign, we'd have probably gone down. But he just was a phenomenal striker, very consistent. It wasn't, when we first signed him, he wasn't really injury prone or anything. He was just always the man that looked like he was going to score for Blues. And even in his second spell, when I remember when we beat Tottenham 4-1 at home, he bagged a hat-trick. So, yeah, he has been one of Blues' key men, probably in the 2000s era. And every Blues fan will always love Mikael Forsell. And he was a natural goal scorer. Again, another player that's played for some big clubs like Chelsea and whatnot. So, yeah, fantastic player and a great striker. and will always be loved at Blues.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go then. Mikael Forsell, the second best Birmingham City striker of all time, according to Tom. Right. Let's get the number one then next, Tom. The best Birmingham City striker of all time. Who are we going for then, Tom?
I feel like this is quite an obvious one. I feel like anyone could get this. Even the thumbnail of this video, you see him on there. You know, it's Trevor Francis. It can't not be regarded as one of the best footballers, sort of in his era. He was obviously the first £1 million player as well when he left Blues and went to Nottingham Forest and won 2 European Cups there. But at Blues, he was fantastic and by far has the most goals on this list to his name. 118 goals for Blues, and that's just league goals. You know, it's not even including cup competitions. But he will always go down as probably the biggest Blues legend unless Jude continues the way he is, keep going up in the ranks the way he is. But no, Trevor Francis, obviously before Jude, was sort of the youngest ever player to make his debut for Blues and also youngest ever goal scorer. He just broke record after record. He'll always be a Blues legend, and then obviously went on to manage us as well. Got us to a cup final back when we were still a championship side. Got us to a cup final, and then unfortunately it never really worked out because he did get us in the playoffs a few times, but we just never win back in those days. But he'll always be looked at fondly, Trevor Francis, and I think he's a legend of the English game as well because it wasn't just Blues he had a big impact on. He's had a big impact at plenty of other clubs. And it's just an honour for the fact that he was brought through Blues and made his name with us.
Yeah, absolutely. A wonderful football that I'd imagine, Tom, you never saw live.
No, unfortunately not. I wasn't alive for those sort of times, but I wish I was. I mean, I've actually got a photo of Trevor Francis just there on my wall above my head. But just quickly, one special mention to a man that it pained me not to put in this list, who is just there on my wall, and that is the mighty Lukas Djukovic. Obviously, in recent years, been a big player for us. You know, if we didn't have Djuki, we'd have probably gone down to League One by now. Again, another one that scored so many important goals and has actually got a tally of 58 goals for Blues now in total, and is in our top 10 all-time league goal scorers as well. So definitely another Blues legend there. But I just feel like he probably missed out on ability, unfortunately, as he is a one-rooted striker. But then two other little shout-outs would go to players that were before my time, which is Bob Latchford and Joe Bradford. Bradford being our all-time top goal scorer, and also Bob Latchford getting 68 league goals for his time at Blues, and also coming through the ranks and being a Birmingham boy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of names there that could well have made a lot of people's top five. I'm just going to put you on the spot then, Tom, finally. Of the 5 players you named in your top 5, which player would you have right now in Lee Bowyer's side? Which player do you think would fit in within Lee Bowyer's side and continue to impress? Obviously, we're talking about them in their prime, not right now.
Yeah, of course, definitely. It would be quite easy to just say Trevor Francis. But I feel like the game has changed a lot since then. And it's probably, if anything, it's probably less tough. But it is a more technical game. So he could suit it or he could not. But I'd probably want to go with someone that's still excelling now at this current time. And also I saw him in my era as a Blues fan, and that's Che Adams. Still ripping it up in the Premier League. So, you know, if you can do it at that level, you could still do it at the Championship, that's for sure. So I'd definitely love to have Che back. But in his prime, I'd probably actually say Mikael Forsell, to be honest, because it wasn't even that long ago. Technically, he was a Blues player. You're only going sort of 10, 15 years, if that. So no, I think if it was Mikael Forsell in his prime, I'd definitely have him in this Bowyer side, because I actually think he'd be a player that would suit Bowyer's formula, to be honest. But it'd be between him and Che, but I'd probably edge Forsell.
Yeah, there we go. Tom, thanks so much for joining me this afternoon. That was Tom's top 5 best Birmingham City strikers of all time. I know how hard that was for you to refine it down to 5 players, but you got there. And Birmingham fans, if you are watching this, let us know in the comments. If you're watching this on repeat on YouTube, Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on Tom's selections. Is there anyone that Tom's missed? We'd love to know what you've got to say. But Tom, once again, thanks for joining me this afternoon, mate. And we'll catch up very soon.